Alright everybody, welcome to my studio, and today we're going to be painting some orchids. And we're going to be putting them in my file folders again. Now I do have a traceable for this, and if you would like all the traceables that I'll be doing and I have done, you can go to my join button, or you can go in the description and there's also a link there, and it's only $2.99 a month and you get all the downloadables you want. So if you're interested to play along, you can do that. So I'm just checking my I've got a new computer, so I had to redo a bunch of stuff, and I'm not sure if it all works yet. So bear with me. Oop. So this is an orchid that one of my orchids that I have, and this one is just a huge Phalaenopsis orchid, or they call it sometimes moth orchids. So I just thought I'd show you this. I picked this one because it's at the end of the blooming time, and this this plant has been blooming for almost 2.5 years now. So I think it needs a rest. And it needs to be repotted and whatnot. But I just thought I'd show you just how it's designed. It's a huge orchid. You can get it in different sizes. They're on this kind of semi-woody stem here, and it's fairly dark, kind of almost got a burgundy tinge to it. And this one is the white in the green. It's got a bit of yellow in it, but I don't know if it'll show it on the camera, but there is just a blush of pink in the backs of the leaves, just fairly faint, but you can see it. And they have this really neat, it almost looks like a little insect of these little, looks like feelers, and they're curly on the ends. I don't know if you can see that. And they grow on a stem. Depending on the variety, there can be anywhere from 5 flowers to over a dozen. The smaller variety usually has like dozens and dozens, and this little thing here is actual continuation of growth. So this would end up being another stem coming out, and then the buds coming off of that. So what I've done is I drew up this, and I put a paintbrush in it. So this is the traceable that you can download, and this time, because I drew this a while ago, this particular orchid no longer is in bloom at this stage, so I can't use the coloring of that one anymore. But I do have, I took some pictures of some other orchids that I have, and we'll be, I don't know if you can see that. So these are get another one, I'll try this one. So they're a soft yellow. That's what we're going to do for this one. And we're going to be doing these on scrapbook paper, which I'm going to actually glue into my book, or not book, file folder. So I'm just using plain old file folders. So you can get used ones or whatever you want. And this one is for February. So we did this last week, and it was the little birdhouse, and that can also, there's a downloadable traceable for this one also, if you're interested in having the traceable for these. This we did Tuesday in the watercolor class that we were doing. And it's just about learning wet into wet and shading, that type of thing. So you can check that out if you're interested in the watercolor. So I've got a few scrapbook papers here. And this one I liked because of the borders. We may, if it's not big enough, I can always add a bit of a border to mine. Ah, there we go. I wasn't seeing my chat. Hey everybody. Yeah, I finally got my computer and my, so we'll see if everything works out with my computer. Hopefully that's what the problem was. I do have a cord. If I have to hardwire, I can. Hey Joan, Nancy, Teresa, Janet. Hi Janet. Anne, Devin, Deb. Good to see you all. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to glue one of these papers onto my old piece of file folder, and then I can just cut it out. I was actually thinking maybe, this is from, Stamperia, I believe, paper. I really like this one. I thought it might be kind of pretty for the yellow of the orchid. And I'll just glue it on there, and then I could actually just put, I think that will fit. Let's see. Yep, that would fit. And you can change the size of these if you want to download them. So this should fit fairly well. And then I can just paint this part here. That's what I think I'll do. So I'm just going to glue that on. And you want to use, I like using matte medium. Oh geez, I think I left it upstairs. Let's see. Do I have any? Medium. Should have. Don't really want to open a new one. Titanium. Gesso. What else do we got here? Super matte medium. Bear with me. Clear. Oh, have to open another one. I'm not going to run upstairs. Soft gel mat. Oh, wait a minute. Here's one here. Soft gel mat. If I can get it open. There. I had to bang it on the floor. So you guys hearing me okay? Everything's good? The picture looks good. It's funny, you know, you get programs for different things on your old computer and then you go to download them again and they're changed. So you gotta figure things out again. So I'm just gonna take some of this soft gel mat and I'm gonna just go over top. I didn't wet my brush because I don't want it watery because it will cause wrinkles in your paper. So the less water the better. Make sure you get the edges. Okay, I'm not seeing chat. How's it? Let's see. You never know. Yeah, it's working. I think we'll put it this way. I want to get it straight as possible. That's the spot. So how's everybody doing today? Chat's kind of weird today. So if you have a squeegee, you can use those. Just to get some of the air bubbles out. Make sure it's good and glued down. I think I'm going to need more. Can you guys hear me? Type in, somebody. I need to know. Why am I not getting chat? Huh. I'll chat out. Huh, that's weird. I guess I'll have to keep my chat popped out. Audio is good. That's weird. Can't get the regular chat. I have to pop it out. Very strange. Alright, that's good. We see and hear you. Good. We lost water 2 days back, but back and never lost power. So, oh, that's good, Debbie. I was wondering about you. Such crazy weather for all NCB too. All you people south. Wow. Must have been a shock for your system. I'm just gonna cut excess off, and then I'm gonna trace my traceable. That's not bad. Make sure it's the right side up. Alright, so I think we'll probably use a graphite tracing paper. And we're going to put that down. Make sure it's over enough. And then I'm just going to tape it so it doesn't move when I'm tracing over top of it. Just looking at chat, seeing what everyone's saying. We had 3 inches for the first time. Doesn't seem like much, but here it's a ton. Yeah, I would imagine. Did it stay like on the roads though? Because your ground must have been warm that it wouldn't have stayed, I would think. It's crazy times, that's for sure. Now I want to get a pencil. I'm just going to trace my pattern. Should have done this earlier, but I was playing with my new computer and figuring things out, and you know what it's like. So you just have to take your time. And it's good to keep your traceable, don't get rid of it, because if you happen to paint over an area and because it's an easier way of doing, say, the background or something, then you can just retrace it. So if you find it's too tedious doing the background, if you're not going to use scrapbook paper or whatever, do your background first and then put your tracing over top. But I'm using the background of the scrapbook paper for this one. It sure stayed here. Huge icicles hanging off the house. Thaw started today. Oh, that's good. Isn't that crazy, Debbie? 75 next week. Wow. You just never know, eh? We got so much snow. Thank goodness my neighbors do my driveway for me. We've got so much, I've got so much snow that it's too high to shovel it. Like I can't throw it over the snowbanks anymore. It's too big. I'm tired of the snow. February, that's when I get fed up with snow. And then February seems to drag on forever. You like using scrapbook? Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that's simple, eh? Why not? You may as well use up your scrapbook paper. If you're not going to be using it in scrapbooking, or, you know, I don't know about anybody else, but I have a ton of it, so I may as well use it for something good. It's perfect. You did an excellent job. The ones that did it, like Janet, she did it in watercolor. That was great. You got to go check hers out. I think she showed it in last Monday, I believe, on her stream. She's in chat, so you can check her channel out. Devin's in chat. She has a channel. Debbie's in chat. There's quite a few of us that do live streams, so click on their names and go to their channel page. You'll enjoy them. Everybody has their own style, but you learn something new with each one. So everybody does art in a different way, and we have a really great group that likes to share their ideas and their techniques with you. It's a great bunch of ladies. We do have a couple guys. It's not just exclusive. It's fun. I got those. I forgot this one. Yeah, I thought I'd better do a orchid since I've got so many of them, and I haven't painted any of them. So since I was tired of snow, I wasn't going to do any more winter scenes. I'm going to start doing flowers and birds, spring stuff. So I thought this would be a good one to start with. This would look nice in watercolor too, Janet. It would be actually probably a little easier in watercolor. Wet into wet. I might try that next week maybe. In the watercolor Tuesday. If you want, we could do this pattern also in watercolor on Tuesday and see what the difference is. That would be kind of cool. These things here that I'm putting in, these little things, they're aerial roots. And most orchids, some are bigger than others, the root, the thickness, but some of them are really thick. Like your Phalaenopsis and let's see, Vandas, they have really big roots. I might give it a try cutting crap out of a magazine today. I've lost my freaking mind. Are you getting ready for the were you gonna do a something by fives or something with Dee Dee or something? Is that what you're getting ready for? Awesome. There we go. It's all worked out there. So you can see that. Let's see. Yes. Are too warm here. Thank goodness. Go wood. Ours is all right so far. Next Thursday. Ah, okay. That'll be fun. Okay, so this is, I think it's pretty well, if anybody wants to do this color, they can take a screenshot if you want. I can put it up like that. It's kind of shaky. If you want to take a screenshot of that. And then it's like this. Mine's going to be yellow with the red center. All right, so I think we'll start off with the flowers. And I have my phone here so I can see what colors I'm going to be doing. This is just dried paint, so now I'm going to be doing mine with, it's almost a greenish yellow, the yellow that's in this orchid. So I'm going to probably do it a cool yellow. Cool means that it's more on the green or blue side. And I'm going to just use craft paint. Let's see. Just looking. I don't think I have a cool one, but I can always work with it. Opaque yellow. I can always add a little bit of green to it. And let's see. This is very soft. Very, very, very soft. Kind of on the cream side too. And so I'm going to want some white with that, a little bit of white. Here's my paints. And there's a little bit of this citron green. I love this color. And a little bit of cream, or yeah, buff would do too. Let's see. I have some buttercream here. Okay, so we'll start off with that. Just do the outer petals. The inside where the lip is and everything, that's a really bright magenta, and it's got a bit of orange in it. A little bit of purple. It's quite a pretty orchid, actually. I really like that one. Let's see. Put it up so it doesn't glare on me. It's gonna work. Okay, and because it's fairly small area, I'm going to be using smaller brushes this time. So I've got this is a 3/8 Curry's flat angled. I really like using angled. And I'm gonna take some of this white and a little bit of the yellow. That yellow's strong. There. That's a good color. So it's a very kind of a buttery yellow color. So we'll just start doing these bigger ones, and I'm just gonna stroke it, put a base coat on it. Try and follow my lines. There's quite a few flowers in this here, so you kind of have to do them one at a time. You can't put a bunch of them in. The centers might be a little tricky for you if you haven't got a reference. If you want, you can get a reference. It doesn't have to be this color. You can do whatever color you want. They come in many, many colors, so don't feel you have to stick with this one. They come in burgundies and orange, purple, multicolored, the white, of course. I've seen them even in a kind of a brownish color if you like that. I don't care for those ones myself, but green. This here, I'm going to leave in between like the bottom one. See, there's here. This is what they look like. So there's these two big petals, and then there's three smaller ones. The smaller ones kind of sit back, so you could actually do these a little bit darker in color, and then we'll highlight the areas that need to be highlighted. So I'm just gonna add just a smidgen of a little bit more yellow in that mix for the back petals. So you want it a little bit noticeable so you can tell the difference. You can do this with a round brush too if you want. I might do that because this one's a bit big for these small areas. Might be easier with a smaller brush. Let's see. Yeah, maybe a filbert. See how this goes. Just so that it's, yeah, that's better. A little easier. You can enlarge your picture too if you want, so it's easier to paint. Be actually pretty as a canvas. Just want enough of a background there. Put in enough paint to yellow's a very transparent color, so you might have to put a couple coats on. Alright, so now I'm going to do another one, so I want to get back to the light color. I'm not going to worry if it's a little bit different, because we'll do all the shading and highlighting after your base coat's put on. Now if you wanted to also, if you have clear gesso, you could put the clear gesso on top of your pattern paper if you want a little bit more tooth, or have it so that it doesn't soak up all your paint. These are fairly small paintings, so I'm not going to bother with that, but if you want, you could do that. I think I'm just going to do all of the bigger petals first, so I don't have to keep changing the colors. So I hope everybody's having a creative week this week. I know some of you are kind of storm stayed. Hopefully your electricity is back and you don't have too many problems that comes with a freeze. Has chat frozen or is everybody napping? I think they're all napping. Everybody's probably tired and kind of vegging out from all the stress of the crazy weather. Let's see. I get my thing here and see what I'm doing. I don't think we're getting any more snow for a while. It's supposed to start to warm up. So I'm happy about that. Make some more of this. Hey Stephanie, good to see you here. Okay, so this one is going to be a side view of that petal. And actually goes up into there. That one's going to be darker. And this here is part of one. This one here is one of the lighter ones. Now you could just do a few. You don't have to do, like, feel free to change the pattern up if you want. You don't have to do all of the flowers that I've put on the stem. You could just do these three if you wanted to, and then just a few buds. If you find it's too confusing, do what you want. That's what's the nice thing about using my patterns, is you can do whatever you want with them. That one is going to be light. Okay, so I'm going to darken this up now. And these are going to be dark, a little bit darker. It's just a smidgen darker, not a whole lot, but just a bit. Just so that I see a bit of a difference. If you're using artist grade, you might have to put some white in with your paint or gesso to get, especially if you're going over top of pattern paper, because the pattern paper is going to show through. So you might want to paint these areas white with gesso or add it to your paint. Here. And this one is going to be lighter, or darker, I mean. A little more yellow in it. And down here, if you find that you're going over pieces of the other bits of the flower, don't worry about it. You can always use your pattern as a reference, so don't get too worried about that. And let it dry up a bit before you put a second coat on, or you'll just take the paint you put on before off. Okay, I think that's it there. That. And here, this. And the back of this one, I think. It's a bit darker. And right there. And I think that's part of the lip there. This here, oh, I forgot one, can be darker. They're dark, usually a little darker when they're first coming out. And as they get older, the flowers fade a bit. I'm going to put a little bit more yellow in there for this part because it'd be darker. And maybe a little bit white in up here. And here. And the buds are usually kind of a greenish color. Hey, Kim. So what we can do is just add a little bit of this citron green to my mix over here. And I'm just going to put a base coat, a little more green, on there. Like so. That. I think that's done. And that's done. I think this one needs to be dark. Okay. So as that's drying, I'm going to put a little bit of a darker color in. This time it's going to be Hussar Green Dark to my mix, and I'm going to do the stems. Just need a little bit, not much. And I'm going to mix a little bit of, let's see if I got burnt sienna on there too. And I'm going to add that to my green just to dull it down a little bit. I don't want it bright. So a little bit of green, a little bit of that. Kind of gives you a dark olivey green shade. So this is the stem. I'm just going to do a base coat. It's a fairly dark color, so it should go on okay. And then any of those stems up in the flower area can put a coat of that on it too. Actually, let's see. Now the stems are a bright green. See that? But the main stem is dark. So keep this part light green. So I'm just going to do a little bit in here. That's the dark green there. And this here. Will be dark green. Up to there. And then the rest will be the lighter green. So it's a really, really bright green. So almost that citron green, but you can add a little bit of darkness to it. Don't want it too bright. So I'm just going to add just a smidge of the dark to it. Just to darken it a little bit. I don't want it that neon looking. And then you just do the stems that color. Oh, I got too much water in my brush. Sure there's a good amount on there. I think that's all of those. Okay. Now with this, the buds that are just coming out, you can add a little bit of dark green to that mix. And just from the bottom, swipe it up. You don't have to get all of it, but just kind of make it streaky looking. Kind of follow the shape. right, now let's see that picture again. Okay, so I'm going to add actually some white. I don't want a lot of water in my brush. I want it kind of streaky actually. So very little on my brush. And then right from the center of the orchid, where the petals connect, just do a little bit of white streaking up. The petal. Because it's got a little bit of white on it. Same with the back petals, just in the center. So light, kind of a dry brush effect. So do all three of them. This one can have a little bit more. Thanks, Devin. And then, depending on if there's a curve in the leaf, or you might have a little bit of a lighter edge. So if you have a fairly, not too big of a flat brush, let's see what I can find here. I guess you could use, I'll use this one. So you want something with a fairly nice chiseled edge. That one's not got one. Let's see. You would think I would have a million, but I don't. Let's see. Trying to find a good brush here. There's one. It's an angled, but it's got a good. And I want to just dip the one edge in white. So just see, and then I just go back and forth, dip again, back and forth, but you only want one edge to have the color in it. But you want a fair amount of paint on that edge. And then the edge that has the paint will be on the edge of your flower. So you'll just go along the edge of your flower, and it kind of gives you a gradual highlight. without you having to blend it in. See, and just a little bit on here on the top of this one. Not much, but a little bit. And try that again. On here, especially if you've got a bunch overlapping each other, it's good to change the color along the edge a little bit with either a shadow or a highlight. Just defines it a little bit more. Doesn't have to be a lot. And then you can just, if you find too much, you just wet your brush and bring it down into your painting. Let's put a little more on this one. A little bit up on there. And I think I'm going to put, oh, it's got a highlight there, so this one's kind of cupped, this part of the orchid. I think I missed a spot. This is supposed to be dark. There. I'm just going to add a little bit more paint to this area because it's a little bit sparse. Let's see. Just to give a little more color. That's a little bit lighter. Take some water on my brush. And then this part's a little darker. It's the underneath. Actually, this whole thing is underneath. Okay. Hey, Rowan. Welcome to the channel. I think that part needs to be a little bit lighter right in here. Not much. That can be white as the edge. And here. So just play with it till you like it. Look at some reference photos for whatever color you want to do yours. Okay, now we're going to do the center. Now the center is very bright. So it's got pink, it's got a little orange in there, it's got striping. You don't have to do the striping if you don't want, but I'm going to start off with this pinkish mauvish color first. I'm going to put a base coat on my areas. So I want a magenta. Okay, I have a fuchsia here that will do. And let's see. It's fairly bright. It's not showing the right color in the what you guys are seeing, but it's almost got a purple tinge. I might put some purple in that too. Let's see. A little bit of dioxine purple to darken it. So take some of that, a little bit of this. More on the bluey side of things. That's better. So depending on how you want to do this, I'm probably going to have to use my pattern as a reference. I'm just going to paint this whole area in and then figure out where to put the highlights and the lowlights. They're very, very tiny. Because I have this blue background, it's changing the color of this paint. but we will figure it out. You could use Posca markers for the highlights and lowlights if you have the right colors. Bit much. That one shows through a little bit. And this one. I think want it fairly coated. I'm going to leave that and go to the leaves for now, just so that that dries. And I'll take out my wider brush here. And their leaves are really a really dark green. At least mine are. It's a very dark green. You might want to put a little bit of sienna in it to. Oh, that's making it. Don't put it over top of your yellow. It's a little on the olive side, but dark. So I'm just going to base coat my leaves in this dark color. And those little aerial roots, they're almost a blue-green. They're very light. They almost look like they have a frosted coating on them. This would be nice, a good one for if you want to just use your colored pencils too, or pan pastels, or like I said, watercolor would be cool. Many ways of working with this pattern. Okay, that's just a very dark. I suppose we could try doing our leaves. So I have this odd shade of green here. It's kind of, I mixed it with the yellow, a little bit of umber. It's a lighter color. You might want to put some blue in it if you want, but it's light. We'll put some highlights on these too. You could do them in a little bit of kind of a slate blue would work. Add a little bit of green to it. And we'll highlight these two. Just a little bit. Get them fairly missed a spot where the leaf was. Put that in there. Here, I'll get a root and I'll show you. This is what the aerial root looks like. Let's see if I can get a piece of paper and put on this. So it's almost it's an odd green color. It's got a little bit of a blue tinge to it. Okay, so we got those all nicely. Actually, I could have done those last because I have to do the pot. Now you could do a clay pot, you can do a fancy pot, whatever you want. I'm just going to do a little clay pot, I think. So I'm just going to take some of that umber or raw sienna color and add maybe a little bit of yellow to it. And you can put your roots back in if you decide to do this pot too in this color or whatever color. Do the roots last. I wasn't thinking. So I'm just gonna put a coat on here. Then we'll grunge it up, put some moss on it maybe, because these plants live in a very humid condition. The roots are always very damp. You don't let them dry out. So you can make the pot kind of grungy looking. So I'll put different shades of raw sienna in. So it's a little different. we can shadow it. All right. Yours are all brown and dead. You got to put little pieces of paper towel, wet paper towel, wrap them. If they're hanging out of their pots, wrap them for a few hours and they'll, well, if they're brown, then they're dead. You can just cut them off. But if they're still green but really withered looking, just put some paper towel, wet paper towel around them and they'll spruce up. Okay. I think I'm going to put some darker color in there, so I'm going to add some green, the umber together, make a really dark. If you have raw umber, that's really good to use for making a really dark brown. Almost in the, you could add a little ultramarine blue to it and it makes it into a nice gray, and you can get really dark if you want, or quite light. That needs to be, I think that's part of the pot there. All right. Okay, so we have a paintbrush here that I put in. So you normally have to have some kind of a stake to hold on to. So let's see, what color do I want to do it? I think I'm just going to do it in a light brown. So maybe some sienna and a little bit of yellow. Kind of a wood color. And then the top part will have a bit of steel on it, or metal. And then, let's see, maybe make this the hairs. Okay, so we've got basically our base coats put on everything. This is a little bit of soft black. I'm just going to make a light gray for the metal part. Right there. And now we can do some highlighting. So we can either do it with Posca pens or paint pens, that type of thing, or you could do it with a script liner if you want really thin lines. It's up to you. You could use a pen. Let's see, for the real, like, very or this is craft paint, so I could actually use colored pencil on this. Maybe I'll do that on the really detailed areas. What do you guys want me to use? I have a plastic in my bathroom. That one you won't have any problem with, Devin. Posca? Well, I haven't got Posca, but I have paint pens. I have these. Hopefully they'll work. We'll do the insides. Let's see. Like this is a good one. This purpley color we'll do for the inside. Okay. So the inside I have to look at my reference. So this one here is going to have the little curly bits. Are kind of going up like that. And it's edged. And yeah, I like to smudge my edges a little bit. And then the inside is kind of these little squiggly marks. Just along the top part here. And then you can take a really dark one. This is a good one to use. And also, hopefully it's dark enough. Yeah. Kind of go right down in the throat there and darken it a little bit. Just a bit. And just do a few lines and dots just along where the throat would be. And then there is a little, show you. See this here, that part. So we've done the inside, and then there's that little bit that sticks out. And that's usually a really light color, so I'm going to keep it fairly white. And that can go right here, right in that area where the pink is. Just put a circle in there. Make sure it's fairly so this one, it has the little curly things. They're lighter. And then this here sticks out a bit. And then you get your little dots and whatnot, stripes going up this area. And then your dark color just in the center here, coming down. If it's not dark enough, you can add a little bit of purple, will work too. And then your dot. Right there. This one kind of goes like this. And then this one kind of folds, so you're seeing the underneath of it, and the underneath of it's a little bit whiter. It's just dabs in this section. Some darker areas. This one might need a little bit darker. Let's see what we can find here. Here's one. Oh, this one hasn't been used, so I gotta prime it. It's a deep purple. Hopefully it'll be enough. Let's see. It might dry darker. Might have to use a pen for that one. Up here, actually I need my white one. It kind of has a this one's a little tricky. Like that. And this here is the actually goes down like that. And that can be darker in here. Dark there. And then a little bit of white. Where is it? A little bit of white in here. This is where it is. And this is lighter. Right there. That needs to be whiter. a little bit lighter on the edges here. Just the back of the center part is actually a little lighter, so if it's curving, you'll see bits of that back part, and it's kind of got a white part on it. Just have to put a little bit of white on that back part. Like here, this is the underneath, so I'm just going to put some kind of a glaze over top of that pink where the white would be folding up. All right, let's see, any more? I think here too. That would be light. This here would be light. I'm just going to use some of that deep purple. Put some down in the center here where it's really dark. Just to give it a little more dimension. Where it would be further down the throat, like in here. And then I could just go back over top of it. Okay. I think I'm going to put a little bit of that citron green in here on the center part of these buds, just to make it look a little more rounded. So I'm adding some texture to it. And then let's see, if I have some bright color, is that going to be dark enough? Let's see. I might have a dark one. It's hard getting those balls in those pens going. Have you found that, Devin? Let's see. That might work. Just a little bit of brightness. It's a little darker, but no, I don't think it's right. I want a little bit of shadowing, so I'm going to have to take my brush, and I think I'll do a bit of a glazing of, let's see, a smidgen of that dark brown, or not dark brown, the green, that hook, was it what one was it? Where did I put it? Hussar green, and just in this area here where the shadow would be, just a smidge of that green, so it gives it a look that there's a shadow going over it. Just under there and along the edge of the petals that are overlapping it. So like here. maybe a bit there. So I've got more water on my brush than anything else. You could use glazing medium too. Whatever you want to use. Okay. That. So it's just a very, very faint, but enough that it gives it just a little bit of shadow. Let's see, I think I could use some in here. And probably there. And here. And here. And even on the buds can be shadowed a bit. Just underneath. Now they do have kind of ribs from where the petals are going to open. So you can put a few lines in there if you want. Make it look a little bit more yeah, doesn't it make a difference? All right. Now there will be a shadow on this too. And I'm just going to use a little bit of that bright green. You could probably use a paint pen, but I like to be able to smudge it, and those paint pens seem to dry real fast. Just down the center, skip down your lighter color down the center of your stem. Of that green. And then let it dry. And then with these leaves here, we can do some, let's see, using my flat. And I'm going to use a little bit of that green just on one edge of that. And I'm just going, there's an actual defined center rib line. So I'm just going to do a little bit of a shined, they're very shiny leaves too. So you'll have a little bit of a shine on the center rib. They kind of, they go down like this. So you'll see a little bit of a shine. And on this one it's folding over the other side of the pot, so it's going to have a little bit of shine on the top. Like that. And then maybe a little bit of a darker line down the center of this one. And you can add a little bit more darkness to them if you want in the center here. It goes down into the pot. So I'm just using the tip of my brush Okay, so let's fix this. So let's use some, now there'd probably be a bit of moss on it, and so take your brush and get most of the water out and just take a little bit of that green. You kind of want to really dry brushed look, and just lightly do a little area of with a little bit of that green in there, maybe on the top. Like that. And with the cream color, if you have some tan or buff, put some of that on your brush. Take a paper towel and wipe some of it off, and then just in the center here, just skiff it. Just a little bit. You want the brush marks. And then we want to make a dark ridge around the bottom. So let's take some of that sienna. Actually, I have a little bit of this black, or was it soft black? I mixed it. So just under the ridge of that lip, kind of, what is it? Kind of a lip of the top of the pot. You just want to go under that a little bit, just to darken that area, so you know that. And then under here where that leaf is, you can darken that under there too, because I'd cast a shadow. Like so. Okay, so these here should have a little bit of that, I guess the cream would do too, and they're it's kind of rough looking, so just down the center, just kind of tap your brush down the center. And that'll give that kind of look. Now there's should be a little bit of shading, so let's take a little bit of that, your watery brush, and that Hussar green again. And I'm just going to go along the edge of the bottom part of the aerial roots. Now you can use a marker if you want, or you'll have to kind of smudge it out a little bit, because you don't want a line. And it's just ever so very, very slightly. You don't want a hard line in it, because it won't look right. This one doesn't need it because it's kind of facing you. This one can have a little bit, just to give it a little bit of shading in there. And then of course we got to do a little bit of shading on the bottom part here. So let's take some of that soft black again, a nice wet brush, and just around the bottom. This leaf will be casting a bit of a shadow. And this leaf over here, maybe, depending on what kind of and then you want it a little bit darker just around where the pot is, just on the very bottom part. And you can bring it out a little bit if you want. Let's see. See if it softens it up a little bit. There. Okay. Now let's see, what else can we do here? We have to put the little thing around there. I think I'm going to actually put a little bit of shadow on the paintbrush. So again, I'm going to just use that soft black in very watery form. And I'm just going to go down one side and darken it a little bit. Not much, just a little. That's not enough. Let's see if that's enough. Maybe under there. I'm just going to put a little bit more shadow on one side of the stem too. Maybe a little bit more in here. That would be fairly dark. And then I'm going to highlight some of the paintbrush stroke up here. I'm just going to oh, that's too much. Dry brush it in the center. Darker on the bottom. Brush like that. And then I can take a marker. I'm just going to go right here and just put that line in there. Like that. Okay, so we didn't do any of the, let's see, underneath the, what do you call it, stems. So you could do a little bit of that if you wanted to. Depends how detailed you really want to get. You could go with colored pencil, might be a little easier. Let's see. Get a white. I got a cream. So I'm just going to put a little bit of a highlight in this part. Maybe down the center a little bit. Could put some more in here where it's folding over maybe right here. Color pencils are great for adding little bits of detail. And it's the detail that makes the painting, I find. Maybe a little bit more here. Right there. And down here. And then I think I'm just going to put a little bit of orange in there. Because there is a bit of orange in them, but it's not going to go over a dark color, so let's see. See on the edges here? It's a little bit of orange. So right in here. So just with my color pencil, I can just lightly put in a little bit of that orange. Because it's a craft paint, it's got tooth. So it's a little easier to add that orange in there. Okay. So there is the, if you can see the orange in the plant, just adds a little bit something extra. And then the pot. So get your colored pencils out. If you're using artist grade, you're probably going to have to put a coat of clear gesso on or a workable fixative, and then you can go back over it. So there it is. So if you want to try this and you want the traceable, it's on the membership page, and feel free to download it. And it's only $2.99 for the month, and you get to download all the ones that I've done so far. So feel free to check that out. You can find the link in my main channel page, and there's 2 other levels if you're more interested in having exclusive how-tos and live streams, then you can check that out too. And so stay creative, everybody, and get your journals out or your file folders and try doing some sketching or painting. You can't improve unless you try it, and that's why I like these file folders, is so you can just try and do some stuff. They're not a canvas, so it's nothing precious or feel bad if it doesn't work out. When you're just starting painting or drawing, you have to keep practicing. Don't expect to have it perfect the first time round. A lot of times you'll have to do it maybe 2 or 3 or 4 times to get it the way you want. So just try and enjoy the process. That's what I like about it, is to see how much I can do. So have a great weekend, everybody, and we'll be seeing you next week. Bye for now.